Hey y'all, I apologize if you guys hear any noise in the background. I am doing laundry, but anyways, we're doing a quick recap on UFC Fight Night, Ty versus Marcin, Tybura, and with that, we're gonna start off with the first fight of the night, Charalampos versus Chad Angler, and I can't say this dude's name, but anyways, Chad exposed Charalampos. We had a little bit of asterisks around Charalampos just because the level of competition he faced prior to getting into the UFC. He did look good on Dana White's Contender Series. He starts Buddy in like under a minute, just a quick 1-2 just to TKO. But Chad obviously exposed that, mixing in all his like weapons and beating him to an easy UD. And with that, we're gonna go to Thiago Moises versus Mitch Ramirez. Man, the leg kicks were brutal. They were pretty brutal to watch. And with that, we saw a pretty rare finish in a leg kick stoppage. Like, Thiago Moises is definitely one of the dudes to look out for in the future of the lightweight division. Next fight we have is Jacqueline Amorim versus Corey McKenna. Bro, you gotta feel for her. Corey McKenna got smoked on the ground fast. Like as soon as Jacqueline got her in guard, man, like she immediately threw up the submission and caught her. And I'm glad the ref stepped in and Corey McKenna knew when to tap because it looked like her arm was about to give out. If not, like the triangle wasn't gonna, not the triangle, but if the armbar wasn't gonna do it, the triangle might been the, might have sealed the deal. Next fight on the card, Joshua Coolbaugh versus Danny Silva. Man, this fight night, a lot of MMA like betting fans definitely lost some money. A lot of people. I saw every one of the major like YouTubers talk about this, and they went with Joshua Quillabao. Probably a couple here and there didn't, but I don't know what people were seeing in Joshua. Like no diss to Joshua, but Danny Silva is the real deal. Like we seen his fight that he had on the Contender Series. The fact that he was just willing to stay in the pocket and engage like that. And let's be fair, like with Joshua Coolabao, yeah, he had his moments, but Danny Silva hits different, and that clearly fared in his advantage. Obviously, Danny Silva has a speed advantage. He was able to duck under and press Coolabao up against the cage in moments where he needed to catch his breath or just to land like more in the pocket. And yeah, that got him a UD win just like that. Jafel Filo versus Ade Osborne. Bro. Ade Osborne, his ground game's always been lacking, and it showed again here. The fact that Jafel had a questionable Astrid win, or not win, loss over Mokaev, because realistically, Mokaev should have tapped, or the ref should have called it, because I feel like Mokaev had his leg hyperextended, and he had to get escorted off the octagon in that fight. Like man, you just knew that Jafel Filo's like ground game is different level, and the fact that he got paired up with Ode Osborne in this fight, man, like yeah, he used it to his advantage. You can clearly tell that Ode was afraid of getting taken down. Like you heard in the announcements or the announcers talk about, he went to local high school like wrestling teams just to like train his grappling. And the issue I had with hearing something like that is you can't make it to this level of the fight game and never had no type of wrestling developed. Like realistically, like getting defensive wrestling like as a part of your arsenal should have been one of the first things going into MMA. You need to be able to stop a takedown. And quite honestly, that is the first thing you learn in wrestling is the defensive maneuvers you would to stop takedowns. But yeah, he got exposed on that end, and Jafel Filio got a quick first round submission. Moving on, we have Jocelyn Nunez versus Chelsea Chandler. Man, I'm not gonna lie, I thought Chelsea was gonna, you know, turn hide and run again like how she did in her other fight, but she used her size to her advantage, and I was actually quite impressed. She looked really good at bantamweight, honestly. Like she's clearly a big fighter for that division, and yeah, used her size and bullied her way to a UD win over easily a strong little scrapper like Nunes. And to finish the prelim off, we have Mike Davis versus Natan Levy. I feel like we knew this fight was gonna go that way. We knew like Mike Davis was gonna somehow like find a way to win, and like yeah, just easily went that way for him. He got a second round submission. Going into the main card, we have GM3 versus Brian Barberina. Bro, we knew that Gerald was just going to use his like clear grappling advantage over Brian. Brian has always showed that he is just a brawl style fighter, and it did not favor him in this. And yeah, Gerald actually was able to like time up some well-timed takedowns and eventually just wrap him up. And going on with the next fight, we have Penny versus Macy. This is actually a rematch, and yeah, I feel like nothing really has changed between too much. Like Macy has like improved a little bit on her striking. She didn't really even use that end though. She just went right back to the grappling and proved that like she still has it and beat Penny. And going on to the next fight, man, this is the fight that I know pissed a lot of people off. Like, well, aside probably from the next fight, but Christian Rodriguez versus Isaac Dolgarian. This was a bad night for MMA fanning or MMA. This was a bad night for a lot of MMA bet channels. I know for a fact I had not seen one person choose C-Rod. Not a single one. Everyone went Isaac Dolgarian. I have no idea if they did not do their research. It was kind of the same thing with Charalampos. Like Isaac Dolgarian hasn't seen the level of competition that Christian Rodriguez has. Let's be real. Christian Rodriguez not only like was able to stop the hype train of Raul Rosas, he did that with Cameron Simon. But like, if you see the level of competition that Christian Rodriguez was fighting, these guys really don't have losing records. Everyone that Isaac Dolgarian pretty much beat almost prior to reaching the UFC level, losing records. And I'm not talking like good ones. Like they are like 2-7. Like you can look into it yourself. Like it's clearly there on Tapology or SureDog. And yeah, like Christian Rodriguez, I personally would have liked to see this fight end in a draw, but I can see where like the judges would like, I guess if you want to put it as in gift him the decision, but I still had Christian technically winning this because not only did he have the bigger moments in round two, because rounds one, clearly Isaac Dolgarian. Round one was clearly Isaac. Round three, clearly Christian. Round two is the one in question, and Isaac Dolgarian tried to crotch sniff. Christian had the bigger moments on the feet. Like, literally, like, Isaac did not look good on his feet at all. He was starting to wear out. You can tell that the wrestling, like, the chain wrestling was starting to get to him. He looked great initially, but, like, I mean, you can't be really upset with that. I know a lot of people lost a lot of money on this. They were going crazy in chats. I saw it everywhere. But, like, personally, like I said, I would have liked to see this fight end in a draw just because I didn't think Christian necessarily won it, but like I didn't think he lost it either, and that's where I honestly can sympathize with people getting upset about this. I just want to say, OSP, you're the fucking truth. I know for a fact you busted a lot of people's parlays. 100% know for a fact. I had literally 0 people in any bet channel choose you. And to see that line for Kennedy versus you was horrendous. Big shouts out to OSP. He's actually a training partner at my gym. No diss to the MMA bet channels for real this week, bro. But I have a concern. Y'all don't train. Y'all don't know. OSP put the work in this camp. Well-deserved win. For real, for real. And then we're moving on to the co-main event that was pretty lackluster up until the post-fight interview was Brian Battle versus Ange Losa. And yeah, that was super underwhelming, as you can imagine. Like, no one likes to see a no contest end in that, especially when there was a clear winner in the first round, which was Bryan Battle. Like, let's be real. I feel like we all thought Bryan Battle was gonna whoop Angelo's ass eventually, and yeah, that hurt to see. I get it where like the eye poke can definitely end a fight. It's just one of those things. The UFC is never probably going to change their glove style. That really needs to be something soon because like no one likes to see that. Like it is just such a bad design for gloves, especially in today's age where like the fact that like this is it happens so often, especially then now we have these Astrid type of like fights where like Brian Battle has to possibly run it back with Ange Losa and like which is fine and all, but it's like these guys just wasted essentially a whole camp on doing that, and you feel for these fighters like they're not gonna get paid. And Brian Battle was clearly had the advantage in this fight. He had all the right answers to Losa's like attacks, and I feel like Losa just found a way to easily cop out of the fight. And with that being said, we're moving on to the main event. With that being said, we're moving on to the main event. Tai Tuivasa versus Marcin Tybura. Bro. Tai needs to retire. Someone has to say it. It's going to be me. He needs to either go to WWE or bare knuckle boxing because this is not looking too good for him. He's on a 4-fight losing streak right now in the UFC. He might actually get cut very soon or be put on a low level end of a card because this is not looking good for him. Honestly, if I was in Ty's corner, I would be suggesting doing bare knuckle or WWE or even doing something both of that end. Like, honestly, like, because he has no ground game, and I don't know if this is like a lack of focus on his part, but his ground game is pretty much non-existent. He was not looking for underhooks. He was trying to fight out of a rear naked choke in a very awkward way. Like it looked like he was trying to pry down the arm instead of it sliding up off your chin. He was trying to pry it down, which sounds so counterintuitive when you think about it too, because you're sliding it down towards your neck. That is not the way. And obviously, he probably couldn't get to the top hand that was on the top of his crown, like pressing down on his head. Just because the fence was there. But like, he obviously got exposed in this manner, and yeah, I feel like this is not a good look for Ty anymore. Like, he lost Marcin Tybura. There's no diss at Marcin. He is clearly a black belt in jiu-jitsu and all that, but like, Ty has a clear disadvantage in all these heavyweight fights. If it's not a bar-style brawl, he is not winning it. And it's kind of crazy because, like, I think, what was it, like, last year? He was top 5. It's a fall from grace. And with that being said, that concludes the recap of Tai Tuivasa versus Marcin Tybura fight night. And I look forward to catching you in the breakdown for the next week's lineup for UFC fight night. Hebos versus Namajunas. It's going to be an interesting one. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.